You're about to watch a video that's an excerpt of one of my online courses, free sample if you will. If you enjoy it, please get in touch, dan@brojo.org, and let me know what you think. No bad feelings. So to get this course started off, we first need to detach the shame from our emotions, to become shameless about emotion. Why is this? Well, connection with other people is completely based on emotion. The way you feel about someone determines the level of connection you have with them. So the more stunted and repressed you are emotionally, the harder it is for you to connect with people. If we take that to the extreme, we get the psychopath who feels nothing, and it is impossible for them to connect with people. But before you can connect with people, you have to be okay with having emotions, and this is particularly hard for men. Raised in certain cultures, more so than others, we're trained out of feeling emotions. We're trained to suppress them, to neutralize them, to anticipate and prevent them, not just in ourselves but in others. And nice guys in particular, not only do we suppress our own emotions, we try to suppress those of our partners. We try to make them feel happy all the time and so on, to suppress the other emotions, the ones that we feel uncomfortable with. And in doing so, we wreck our connection from both angles. So shame is the attachment of wrongness to something that is true about you. So you take something that's true about you, in this case an emotion, or the fact that you have emotions in general, and you say that is wrong, that is bad. We're often trained to do this in an indirect way. Real men don't cry is an attack on sadness, isn't it? Or just calm down, that's an attack on anger. So as we grew up, certain emotions consistently got a shame response. We consistently got told that we were wrong for having the emotion. Quite often the behavior was blamed on the emotion. You need to calm down because you keep doing this. It's telling you that anger is the problem, even if the behavior is really the problem. So on and so forth until you get to a certain age where you've shut down most of them. Maybe the final ones to go was, say, love, when you got rejected, or even happiness, perhaps, excitement. You started shutting that down because people made fun of you or called you a try-hard or something like that. So before you can hope to have a really great, powerful connection with your partner or anybody else, and to be able to assert yourself and be a powerful man, you have to repair your relationship with all of your emotions. Now, it's socially conditioned that emotions are wrong because there's really no factual basis for this. I'm going to list through the common emotions and show you that they're clearly helpful and they're clearly necessary, and make you question why you ever thought they were wrong in the first place. Let's take anger. This is a classic one for nice guys. We're often ashamed of anger. We think of it as wrong and bad. But where's your motivation without anger? How do you get pissed off enough at something to actually fight your fear and change it if you don't have anger? Where's your courage? Where's your passion if you don't have anger? Where is your ability to set boundaries and know what's right for you and what's wrong with you without anger? How can you consider this to be an unhealthy emotion when without it you essentially lack balls? You cannot defend yourself. You cannot dive into anything with courage. You can't be passionate about anything. Why would you want to suppress that emotion? Sadness, another one that's classically suppressed by men. But without sadness, you can't process change. Sadness is the lubrication for change. It's how we let go of what was and accept what now is. It's a moving on process. People who don't process sadness properly get stuck in the past. You see this with nice guys all the time. They're still mentally like a 13-year-old boy. They haven't processed all the changes they've been through because they're not allowed to get sad. They're not allowed to let things go. Nice guys often get stuck with the same friend circle even though they've really outgrown them. It's because they don't want to go through the sadness of letting them go and create the space for better friends. Sadness delivers us to acceptance, but not only that, sadness is our connection to other people. If anybody's ever had a child, you know that this often breaks you out of the shame for a little while. You actually cry when you hold your child in your arms for the first time. You actually feel that heat and that pain in your chest and your stomach that we call sadness. And it's this realization, holy shit, I really care about this kid. How are you supposed to know what you care about if you can't get sad? Fear shows us what we deem to be a threat. Now, sometimes fear is wrong in the sense that it deems something to be a threat when it really isn't. We're quite often afraid of things that are actually good for us. But that doesn't mean fear is wrong. Fear is just telling us what we think is a threat, what we think might be wrong. Fear is telling us, go have a look at that thing carefully. Check out if it's a threat or not. It's not saying run away from it. It's saying you're afraid of that. Go find out why. Guilt. A corrective measure to ensure that we engage in optimal behavior. Now, guilt can be sabotaged. We can be trained to be guilty about things we should not be guilty about, like emotions, for example. But that doesn't mean guilt is bad. Without guilt, we'd all be psychopaths. We'd all be harming each other immensely. Guilt is what keeps us from causing harm. When we harm someone, we see the reaction, we feel guilty about it. It makes us far less likely to do that thing again. That's got to be a good thing for society, right? But people can manipulate us into being guilty about things that are actually good for us or harmless, and that's why we need to correct our guilt. Confusion is a very classic one that nice guys are ashamed of. They don't realize they're ashamed of it until they have a conversation about it often. But nice guys don't like to admit that they don't know the answer. They don't like to go into something new where they would be a beginner who's not very good at things. This is all shame around confusion. But confusion is the ultimate learning situation. It's a blank slate. Confusion is the feeling that you've dismissed all beliefs, that you have no idea what's right and wrong in the situation and how to do it. And that is the perfect place to start to learn something well. You have to start with I don't know. If you only go into a situation with I know how this works, you're never going to learn anything. Anxiety shows you what you deem to be important. Right? We worry about things that we place high in the hierarchy. Now again, maybe we shouldn't be placing certain things so high in the hierarchy. But anxiety is not at fault here. Anxiety is just telling you that that's what you think is important. Again, like fear, it's saying, do you think that should be important? Do you want to have another look at it? You're so worried about that email from your boss. You're more worried about that than you are about spending time with your children. Is that the right priority order? That's what anxiety is asking you. You can go into anxiety and answer these questions and the anxiety goes away. Even something like depression. Depression is a warning sign, or a consequence, maybe both, that you're living the wrong way. Right? You don't get depressed when you're living in a very healthy way, both mentally and physically. When you're doing everything right, you will not get depressed. You'll only get depressed when you're doing something very wrong. And often, that thing that you're doing is suppressing emotion. Depression is often an extrapolation of stress. We try so hard to control something that we can't control, and we worry about things that we're not supposed to worry about. Eventually, depression goes, I'm shutting the system down. This is not working. Boom. And we don't realize that depression is actually there to save us from putting more energy into this, from killing ourselves doing something pointless. Have you noticed how when you're depressed, you say things like, what's the point? That's a hint that you've been doing something pointless. It isn't saying that there's no meaning in life ever. It's saying that you haven't found it. Look somewhere else. And what about happiness? A lot of people are actually ashamed of happiness. They feel like they're bragging if they talk about how well their life's going. They feel like they're doing harm to others by putting on a big smile when everyone else is miserable. That's a shame around happiness. But happiness shows you that you're on track. Happiness means that you've found a situation that works well for you, or at least you think you have, which could be a warning that you're off track. If your happiness is often followed by depression and misery, then maybe you're getting high off the wrong drugs kind of thing. But happiness isn't the problem. It's just saying, here, you like this a lot. And that's a really helpful piece of information. In order to further accept these emotions, you have to detach them from behavior. What you do is not the fault of your emotions, and that applies to anybody else. A lot of people will say that violence is caused by anger, but that's simply not true. I've worked with psychopaths who can be incredibly violent without being angry at all. And I've worked with people who are incredibly angry and have never thrown a punch in their life. Anger doesn't cause violence. Violence is simply one of the options on how you respond to feeling anger. Sadness doesn't cause suicide. Suicide's just one of the options you could take, and so on. So you've got to understand that you can feel all of the emotions, no matter whether you rank them as positive or negative, without engaging in unhealthy behavior. You don't have to respond in a harmful way. You can't blame emotions for the way you've responded in the past. If you've done things that hurt you, you've done things that you don't enjoy, if you've reacted to emotions in a way that makes you think that emotion is bad, have another look. Was the emotion bad, or was your reaction wrong? Because reactions can be changed, but emotions can't. You're always going to have emotions, but you don't always have to react the way you have been. One way to react to all emotions, and that will keep you safe, rational expression, which is what we're going to focus on a lot in this program. But if you can learn to always express your emotions verbally, to always put them into words, responsible, powerful words that we'll cover later on in this course, you can be relatively guaranteed that that's always a good first response to emotions. So you can set yourself up now with a new practical kind of goal, which is before you act on emotion, you have to express it verbally. You have to say it. You have to say how you feel before you decide your next move. We're going to get into how to do this well later on, but to begin with, and make sure this course is practical from day one, learn to speak like a child. I feel like, right? As if it's the most normal thing in the world. I feel angry. I feel stressed. I feel sad. I feel happy. I know it's a bit cheesy to do the I feel thing, but it works. And what you're going to do is you're going to learn to train yourself to have a first response to any emotion with just an expression, and you've got to say it as if it's perfectly normal. No apologies, no changing the tone depending on what emotion you're talking about. Whatever emotion you're most shameless about, let's say it's probably happiness, talk about all of your emotions with the same tone and the same language as you would about happiness, or whichever one it is that you're not ashamed of. So if you're like, I feel really good today, use that tone. So talk about, I feel really sad today. I feel really angry right now. I'm really confused about this. Just the same delivery, no matter what the emotion. Learn to give them all equal status. And that will dissolve the shame, and you'll see that they do actually have equal status. There are things anger can do for you that happiness can't. There's things sadness that can do for you that being calm can't do for you. Right? The emotions that you usually prefer, happiness and calmness and apathy, whatever your range is, they're very limited. They can give you some stuff, but they don't give you the whole package. You need the whole team on board to have the most rich and meaningful life. So the final point to keep in mind, negative emotions are not a problem to be solved. They're just a truth to be expressed. Stop treating your emotions like they're problems. Stop treating your partner's emotions like they're problems. And just learn to talk about them instead, like you're commenting on the weather. It's raining outside. You're not going to try and stop it from raining because you can't. You'll just comment on it. It's raining outside. It's really sunny today. Fuck, that wind's really going. That's it. That's how you talk about emotions, like the weather. I'm going to finish all these videos with a practical exercise, and here's the practical exercise for this one. For this week, I want you to set a reminder, an alarm of some kind, or perhaps a sticker that's colourful and you put it somewhere noticeable, like on your steering wheel or on your desk at work. Something that reminds you that every couple of hours you're just going to stop, check in, identify what emotion you have as best as you can, and say it out loud. Even if you're all by yourself, or you can share it with your partner, or if you're embarrassed to share it with someone, just sneak off to the toilet and say it, or whisper it under your breath. Just get used to stopping, identifying an emotion, and putting it into words. Just stopping and go, okay, I feel bored. Or like, I feel a bit stressed. And just learn to start putting these into words, especially the ones you don't usually talk about. Just give them air, give them recognition, and just make that a practice so that you can get used to doing this automatically. Thank you for showing an interest in the Nice Guy Brotherhood, a group coaching community program for nice guys and people pleasers who want to become more confident and assertive to do better in their relationships and their careers. This is also for any man who wants to become more masculine, more bold, more honest, and more authentic. So in this program, we focus in on a lot of the people pleaser and approval-seeking tendencies that hold men back from achieving full self-confidence and healthy relationships. Things like avoiding conflict, trying to fix other people's emotions, molding yourself to other people's preferences, failing to stand up for yourself, not going for what you really want, and not knowing who you really are. The goal, through the support of myself and the other members of the community, is to help you build the backbone to stand up for yourself, to stop caring what other people think of you, to stop getting lost in your thoughts and your feelings, and learn how to act decisively based on your own set of core values rather than what everybody else wants you to do. So we're looking to replace things like conflict avoidance and procrastination and trying to please others with going for what you really want based on who you really are. So we address all these issues through a number of methods. Firstly, we get together each week for a group session. Now, part of that is what's called hot seat coaching, which is somebody gets on the mic with me and we do a coaching session in front of the others, and everybody gives their feedback and support, and we can deal with specific issues that's coming up for that person in their life in relation to building confidence and overcoming nice guy syndrome. We also have group discussions during these calls. We share links and resources, feedback, questions, and everything we can do to support each other's growth. And then also alongside these group calls, you get access to my full online library of self-development courses, which includes things like building rapport, setting boundaries, and learning to confront your fears. Now, if you're interested in the group, we have a deal where you get your first month for just $1 so that you can try it before you buy it and get a sense if it's really right for you and if these are the people that are going to help you achieve your goals. Once your first month is up, if you want to continue, then we have a monthly membership subscription. It's $250 US per month for full access to everything. This includes the entire archive of recordings from all the calls that we've had so far. And if you come along with a friend, both of you will get a 50% discount for joining together. There's what we call a zero risk guarantee. If at any time you're unsatisfied with the program, you can quit and you'll get your money from the last month given back to you, no questions asked. So come and check it out. If nothing else, for $1, you get access to everything for an entire month. No risk. I'll even return that $1 if you're not satisfied, because that's how confident I am that this program is going to change your life.